Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the 9 books I read in March, and then I think I'll also go through a bit of a tentative TBR for April, things that I'm expecting to read for book clubs, for my Calabasas prep, and things I'm just kind of in the middle of right now as well. So let's first get into everything I read in March. I read a total of 9 books for a total of 1,521 pages. Pretty good. The moods this month were pretty much just emotional and dark. Guess I was going through something. The next one was tense as well. And then after that's lighthearted. And then I pretty much solely read medium and fast-paced books. That makes sense considering what I read. I read a lot of novella. Well, I have 4, I think, novella-length books. So like half of my reading. And pretty much, yeah, like I said, the majority of what I read was below 300 pages. And then I read one between 300 and 400, and then one over 500. Majority was romance. I just was really feeling my Kindle this month because I did a 58% Kindle, 56% Kindle, 33% print, and then 1 audio. So now let's get into the actual books, and I guess we'll just go in order of how I read them. So the first book up is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. This is a YA fantasy that follows our main character, Bree, who is in this early college program at UNC Chapel Hill with her friend, and her mom died previous to the events of the book, and she's still grieving that and still kind of trying to come to terms with what happened. But there is a secret society on campus that she believes may have something to do with her mom's death. So she tries to get close to find out some more about what happened with her mom. And she is somewhat immune to their powers. It's how she figures out that they're there because there is an attack on campus, I think in the first chapter. And everyone else is able to they're able to share everyone else out, but she's kind of able to shake off the compulsion. And that's kind of how she figures out that there's, more afoot going on in this campus than what everyone else knows. I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. This was a reread because I had listened to the audio for this. I think around the time it came out, I don't exactly remember, and I didn't love it. But something about me is sometimes, and I've mentioned it in previous videos, sometimes when I listen to the audio for things, I don't know, they just don't hit as much. So I decided to give this another shot because Oathbound, the 3rd book in the series, came out recently. I wanted to give it a shot. So many people said they loved it. So I reread it and I did enjoy it much more this second time around. And I am partway through Bloodmarked, which is the 2nd book. But I thought this was very good. I do highly recommend this. And I am excited to continue on with the rest of the series. The next book I read was another reread. Clearly, I was feeling very slumpy this month because I did a lot of rereads and I did a lot of short books. But the next book is For the Love of Kane by Ames Mills. This is an MMMM mafia romance. I think when I originally read this, I gave it 5 stars. I think I gave it 4 stars because, yeah, when I originally read this, I gave it 4 stars. And I feel like I'm going to stick by the 4-star rating. It's not a good book, but I had a good time. So do with that what you will. Some drawbacks that I had for this book is that there is a reveal, I think like maybe at the 50-60% mark, that just doesn't make any sense because it's a reveal from one of our characters and we get POVs for all these characters. So we're in all of their heads. And for this to have been a shock to us, I was like, how that makes absolutely no sense. But you know what? The book's a wild, crazy, kooky time. So, I had fun. I will preface this, it does have daddy kink, which I also don't love. But I think when I originally read this, for some reason, it didn't bother me as much the first time I read it. I was kind of able to ignore it this time. But like I said, it really is just a fast-paced, fun, absolutely bonkers time. If you say you read this and you didn't like it, I will 100% understand. Like, I'm definitely not fighting for people to be like, yeah, this is the best book ever. It's insane, but it was a good time. I enjoyed it. Now, the next 2 books we'll talk about together because I don't really have much to say about either, but it's Praise Me Princess and As If I Wouldn't Fall by Jessa Kane. Now, if you don't know Jessa Kane, she pretty much writes these novella length. They're like, I think these are all like maybe less than 100 pages. I think they might be considered erotica. I don't know. But they're not good. And I've read from Jessa Kane before, and I've rarely liked them. So why did I read 2 more this month? I don't know. Really, it was short. I felt slumpy and I was like, it's short, it's fast. It might get me out of something. It kind of helped, but I don't know. Neither of these are very good. I don't really remember much from either. Praise Me Princess follows a princess who she's dealing with some PTSD because like she was kidnapped prior to the book, and now she like never leaves her castle, but her mom's forcing her to leave, so she gets her a bodyguard, and the bodyguard like he's like I don't want to be there, but then he sees her and he's like actually I'm so in love with you, I have to stay, and that's pretty much the premise of that one. As if I wouldn't fall. I think these two are in high school. He's been like obsessed with her, but I think like his entire life. But he's like, no, I can't give in to my obsession because he wants nothing more than like to get her pregnant. But I guess that's like his dad did that to his mom and his grandpa did that to his grandma, and they like trapped them in this town. And he's like, I don't want to do that to her, so I can't. But then obviously, because he's just so incredibly obsessed with her, he like follows her around the school. He never talks to her. He just follows her around and like acts like a bodyguard, I guess. I don't know. None of these books were good. Didn't really enjoy either. I don't remember what I gave either of these. I'm pretty sure I gave Praise Me Princess 1 star and I gave As If I Wouldn't Fall 2 stars. So didn't like either, but they were quick. So there's that. The next book I read was The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez. I listened to this on audio. I don't remember much about this book, and I read it like a week ago. It was in one of my most recent vlogs. I could probably give you my thoughts more in depth in that. It is also short. It's 82 pages. These two basically get trapped in their apartments. They're neighbors. They're across the hall from each other. And I guess the construction company gets confused and they remove the stairwell from their complex instead of a different one. So they're trapped there for like the weekend. And they're, I don't know, basically getting closer, being trapped up there, and they're hanging out with each other. And then they, I guess, not fall in love because it's only 80 pages and this is not a Jessa Kane novel. But, they get closer and that's pretty much what happens. I don't know. I don't think these characters are from other stories. I really don't know. Because I have read the first 2 books in the Part of Your World series, and then I read the first book in the Friend Zone series. And I don't remember them from either of those, but I could be wrong. But it was good. I think I gave it 4 stars. I recommend. It's 80 pages. It's quick. The next 2 books we can also talk together because they're both by Alix E. Harrow, and it's The 6 Deaths of the Saint and The Knight and the Butcher Bird. I reread The 6 Deaths of the Saint because I had read it almost a year ago, actually a little bit over a year ago, and gave it a 5 stars the first time I read it. Giving it a 5-star this time. I love this so much. I'm not even going to tell you what this is about because this is another one. It's very short. It's like 50 pages. Actually, no. I think it's literally like 36 pages. It's so short, but it's so good. I loved this when I read it the first time. I loved it just as much now. I know the first time I read it, I cried. This time I read it, I teared up as well. So Alix E. Harrow's ability to get me like to care about these characters and to get me that emotionally invested in 36 pages, insane. It was amazing. I definitely highly recommend you read Success of the Saint. The Knight and the Butcher Bird, I gave this one 4 stars. I didn't think it was as good as The Success of the Saint, but it was still very good. It was entertaining. This is another one. It's 40 pages. I'm not really going to tell you much. I went into both of these blind. Like I didn't read what they were about. And I think that's kind of the way to go with something being this short and it being, I think they're both fantasy. You really just have to go in blind. It was a good time. I really liked The Knight and the Butcher Bird. I was emotionally invested in that one as well. So I don't know. And this has definitely made me want to read more of Alix E. Harrow's works. I've yet to read a full-length novel by her. So we'll see. I think her most highly rated one, and the one that I've heard about the most is Once and Future Witches. So I may pick that one up and give it a shot. I don't know. The next book is Lie With Me by Philippe Besson, which I think I'm pronouncing that right. I know it's French. This is translated by Molly Ringwald, which I didn't even know Molly Ringwald did translation. I didn't even know Molly Ringwald was a writer, but apparently, yeah, she's a writer. So I might need to look into her works. It follows 2 boys, partially. It follows 2 boys during a summer in 1984, I believe. And it's the start of their affair that they have that they're keeping under wraps. They're not talking to anyone about. And then it also kind of follows years and years later and kind of how this has affected mainly one of them, because I think we're only in one of their POVs. I don't remember his name. It doesn't say it on the back because the other boy's name is Thomas, I think. our main character that were in his head. I think his name is David. I could be wrong. They don't mention his name that much in this book. I know they did at some point, but I don't really remember. But this was also very, very good. I got 4.5 stars. I just thought this really hit. It definitely, and then got me emotionally invested. I didn't like cry, but I did kind of, get a little teary eyed. And I just thought this was very good. Like there's so many quotable lines within this book. There's so many things that you want to like highlight and underline. The writing is amazing, and I think that Philip Besson and then also Molly Ringwald being able to translate, I guess, and convey everything he conveyed when he originally wrote this was just amazing. And this is definitely a rec. I think I got this from Jack Edwards because he talked about this one, and I think I saw a TikTok about it as well. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was very good. And because I really enjoyed this, I did also start Giovanni's Room. Not too far into it, 24 pages, but I am enjoying it. And I highly recommend that one if you are interested in more literary works. All right, last book for the wrap-up portion of this video is The Crucible by Arthur Miller. This was the March pick for a classics book club that I recently joined, and I gave this 5 stars. This follows the Salem witch trials in, obviously, Salem, Massachusetts in 1642, I think is when it started. I looked it up, but I don't remember exactly, but I think it was 1642. And it's a play, and it really conveys how fast and easily like mass hysteria can move through a community. And this is a frustrating read. Like, genuinely, every character in this you kind of hate, because you see in these witch trials how someone will accuse someone of being a witch for a lot of times their own personal gain or for like vendetta. And all they really need to do is say, she's a witch. And then maybe like start having a fit that they can fake, that like you can't really prove that they're faking, but that's really all they need. And then when this person's like, no, I'm not, they're like, well, we need proof. And I'm just like, you didn't need proof to accuse them, but they are like, we need proof. And all the proof that they bring, like, well, that doesn't prove anything. Well, that they needed so much proof to disprove you being a witch, but to state you're a witch, you just need to be like, that's a witch. Witch. And it was so frustrating. And genuinely, I think the worst character in this book is Abigail. Oh, she's awful. You're going to hate her so much. But again, hated every character, but I loved this book. I sure did. I had such a good time reading it. It's a very quick read, but I took, I think, like 2 weeks to read it because I was reading it slowly. I was taking my time with it, and I thought it was amazing. I've got so many tabs, so many things I underlined, so many things I highlighted. Genuinely, I wrote in this book. So much of me writing in this book is just me talking shit to these characters. There's, at one point, I mentioned it in one of the vlogs, where one of our characters is accusing someone of witchcraft, and they're like, when it's questioned by other people, like, okay, well then what made you think she was a witch? Or like, she's like, I didn't think that she was a witch. I didn't know she was a witch until they said she was a witch. And then I thought about all these things that happened, and that has to prove that she's a witch. Because before, I didn't think about it, but now that she's accused, yeah, that weird thing she did, totally witchcraft. And I really literally wrote underneath, be so for real. Because be so for real. Oh my God. But this is an amazing book. I think if you want to get into classics and you're trying to find like an easy, accessible one, this one is definitely it. It's a play, so it's pretty short. It's all dialogue at this point, few paragraphs here and there just to kind of give you more information, but it's a good time. It's a quick read. You're gonna love the play, hate the characters 100%, but I do highly recommend this 100%. I think this is my favorite read of the month. All right, now let's talk about my potential TBR for the month. Some of these I'm hoping to finish within the month. Others, they're going to go further into April probably because I want to read them slowly. But like I mentioned, I am listening to the audiobook for Bloodmarked by Tracy Dion, which is the second book. And then I do have the third book, Oathbound, from my library. So I have both of those. So hopefully I'll get through those this month. I'm pretty sure my hold for Oathbound is up in like a week. So I'd have to finish Bloodmarked and then get through that. So we shall see. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And then, like I mentioned, I have started Giovanni's Room. Again, I think this is one that I kind of want to read slowly. So it is a short book, so I could easily finish it within April, but we shall see. I'm going to take my time going through it. This is by, I don't think I told you, it's by James Baldwin. This is, I think, also considered a modern classic. It's in 1950s Paris, and we follow, again, I don't know this man's first name. Oh, okay, I take it back. In this book, his name is not David. This main character is David. I don't know what that man's main character. I don't know if it's ever mentioned. But David and obviously Giovanni, and I'm assuming they spent some time together in Giovanni's room and then things happen from there. I know there is somewhat of a mystery in this book, and we're going to find out. And so many people cry while reading this, so I'm excited for that. Love to cry while reading. The next book I hope to get to this month is for another book club that I'm a part of on Fable. I don't know if I mentioned that all the book clubs I've joined are on Fable, and I'm loving all of them. I'm now in 7 different book clubs, and I've had the the app for like 3 weeks. But one of my book clubs is about to start. I Who Have Never Known Men. This is another one. I honestly don't know much about this, but it has, I think, blown up on BookTube, on Book Talk. So many people love it. I think I first heard of this from Books with Emily on BookTube, and she loves this book. She raves about it, and now I'm seeing it more on Book Talk. I'm seeing everyone say how much they love it, so I want to read it. And when I saw this book club was reading it this month, I said, you know what, I'm joining, especially because I think I bought the book like 2 or 3 days before I got the notification that one of these book clubs was starting reading it. So I was like, okay, this is perfect timing. I'll finally get to read this, and I'll get to be in the know and see what everyone loves about this book. The next book is one that I am currently reading, and I'm hoping I'll finish up this month, but it is Babel by R.F. Kuang. I'm like 30% of the way through. I am loving this, enjoying this, and the main reason I finally picked this up, because I am an R.F. Kuang stan, is that Catabasis, her newest release, comes out in August, and on TikTok there's like a full list of some books that people recommend to like prepare you for Catabasis, because it does pull a lot of inspiration, a lot of themes from all these books. So this was one of the books, obviously, that people say read her previous novel before you go into Catabasis. So I'm excited to read this. I am enjoying it so far. It's just like I said, I got a bit into a slump in March, so I put it down even though I was really enjoying it. So I'm hoping to pick this back up this month and continue on my read. This is another one that people do cry at the end, so I'm ready for it. I know Miss R.F. Kuang because I've read The Poppy War. The Poppy War is a devastating story. I'm ready to cry. I'm ready to do it. So I just need to pick this back up. Hopefully I'm out of my slump. Hopefully I am somewhat in a fantasy mood as well. So I'm hoping I will stay out of my slump. I'll stay in the fantasy mood, and I will continue on with this. The next book I am also currently reading, and another book that I am reading in preparation for Catabasis, is The Iliad by Homer. This is a Greek epic poem. Yeah, Greek epic poem. I was going to say play, but Greek epic poem that follows, I think, mostly the exploits and somewhat fall of Achilles. And I'm not far into this one at all. I'm only 74 pages in, book 4 of this like 500 plus page play. But this is another one I am thoroughly enjoying this. This is the Emily Wilson translation, and this is the one that everyone recommends you read if you do want to read the Iliad, because she makes it very, very accessible for you to read. I know there are some translations that just kind of make it hard to grasp what's going on, and I do own another copy that is in Florida at my parents' house, but I remember trying to read that one, and the translation on it, it definitely was hard for me to read. I wasn't understanding what was happening, but when I restarted and reread this, I was like, oh, it's clicking so much more. So again, if you're interested in reading the Iliad, definitely pick up the Emily Wilson translation. It's very good. I'm like I said, I'm enjoying this so far. I'm excited to keep going. This is another one that I'm probably going to try and take my time with, not too much time, because I do also have the Odyssey, which is another book in preparation for Catabasis. They recommend you read both. So I would like to get through this one as well. And there are a few other things I wanted to read, but these are the 2 big ones, as well as The Divine Comedy by Dante. That one's a little scarier, so I'm putting that one on the back burner for now. So I'm prioritizing these. So this is also the Emily Wilson translation. So I will maybe hopefully get to this in April, but like the priority is definitely the Iliad, and then the Odyssey is maybe in the back burner. We shall see. All right, last 2 books on the TBR, books that I am currently reading, and I am listening to the audiobook for A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie. This is the first book in the Age of Madness trilogy, which takes place, I want to say like 30-ish years after the events of the First Law trilogy. So can't really tell you much because obviously a lot is connected between the two. And I do highly recommend you read First Law, and honestly, I highly recommend you read the trilogy of standalones as well. I love Joe Abercrombie, so I am definitely biased. I really enjoy his series, and I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I'm a little further than probably like 60% of the way through now. I'm enjoying it. I definitely am loving seeing some old characters that we had in the First Law trilogy and seeing them back here. We're definitely focusing more on like later characters and like basically kind of like the next generation of characters. But I like the little cameos we're getting of old characters. So I am really enjoying this. Things are kind of going to shit right now for everybody. There's battles, people are fighting each other. It's a whole thing, but I'm loving it. I think it's going great. And this is one that I'm hoping to finish the entire trilogy pretty soon because his newest release, The Devils, comes out May 13th. So if I'm proactive, I might be able to finish this series this month, but we shall see. This one is definitely pretty because I'm already 6% of the way through, so I'm already pretty much almost there. All right, last book on the TBR. I'm currently reading, but I literally just started it last night, but it's Fires of Vengeance by Evan Winter. This is the sequel to Rage of Dragons, and this is when I did start this like a year ago when I finished Rage of Dragons, but I read Rage of Dragons and then like my mood changed, so I didn't finish it. So I'm starting over at the beginning. I only read the first chapter last night. Enjoyed it so much. I remember Rage of Dragons is a book that is so fast paced. Like you get into the story and then like you never hit the brakes. You are just off and going. And it is a revenge story and there is a lot of rage. Like Rage of Dragons is an apt title. There is a lot of rage. Our main character, Tao, is just a giant ball of rage because he is on his revenge arc and he's still on his revenge arc in this book. And from what I've heard from other people is that he kind of just gets crazier in this book, which I'm so excited for. I want to see that so badly because, like I said, like the Poppy War is one of my favorite series, and you can see Rin's just kind of mental decline and her descent into like paranoia and just her kind of losing grip. And I'm hoping to see more of that here because Tao was already low key crazy in the first one, so I couldn't imagine where he goes in this one. So I'm excited to get to this. I'm hoping I can kind of fly through this one because, like I said, first one was a fast-paced book. I'm pretty sure this one is just as fast-paced. The 70 pages I read, so much happened. We were off and running in those 70 pages. So I'm super excited to get to this. I hoping this is probably going to be one of my top reads of the month, as well as like Babel. Like these probably fighting for like top spot for sure. Those were all the books I read in March, and as well as my April TBR hopefuls. Hopefully I can get to them. Hopefully when I give you my April wrap up, some of these will be on it. Who knows? I'm a mood reader, so maybe none of these will be on it. But that is all I have for today's video. I hope to see you in the next one. Please like, share, subscribe, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.